It's setting up the meeting. Yeah, we are online. Awesome. We're setting up the meeting. So, hi Leslie.
Hello.
Okay, and hi everyone. Um, this is Anumeha, and like some of you know already, I help mothers who are struggling with anger. I help them transform this anger into enlightenment so that they can free up that stuck energy and do more good in the world. So today I'm going to be interviewing this very wonderful person and my friend Leslie. Uh,
Hello.
Leslie, can you just share a little about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I'm Leslie Ellis with Heartsong Yoga and the Sanctuary. And I also, like Anumeha, support women in not only with anger, but with everything that it is about who you are and really embodying that, being present with yourself so that you can be just more authentically who you are. And also, I love how you said to like share your gifts in the world because you have so much to offer and you're already serving at a high level, I'm sure. But I want to support women to really do that, feeling like they're doing it as themselves.
Wow, that is that is so juicy. Just sharing our gifts with the world. That resonates so much. So, Leslie, as we were talking a while back, and you said something which caught my attention, and which was your body is the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. And can you just elaborate more on this?
Yeah, your body is the place to go. There's so many like ways that we could explore that, but let me see if I can bring it in, and then we'll probably expand it out too. Your body is the place to go, and that may seem in some ways like, well, my body. I am my body. My body is like I'm moving around, all of that. I think of it though as a place to take your attention. So when we talk about presence, being present with the self, or sort of coping with any of the things that we might be coping with through our days, whether it's anger or busyness or overwhelm or whatever it is, I think what I see often from women and people in general, but I work mostly with women, but we go to the mind. So we try to figure things out. We might have like the kind of intellectual development and the emotional intelligence to know that there are certain things that we should do or ways that we can talk to ourselves, ways that we want to be with other people. When you try to think your way there, it's just not so effective as if you go to your body. So the body is the place to go. It's like when you notice yourself getting into a place that you don't want to be, whether that is, an emotional state or a thought state that you really don't want.
Mm.
Body is the place to go. Drop in and feel what's happening in your body. Even in this very moment, like as you're listening to me, you could just sit a little deeper in your seat.
Oh,
When you bring attention to that, it's like, do you feel how your energy just drops? And it's so nice because it's very calming to the mind, all that mind stuff. We call it the chittavriti, right?
um,
The mind stuff. So it's like you can drop into your body, take a breath from that place. Yeah, and just notice, like notice how you feel. I think sometimes have we have that whole array of feelings and we might recognize them, but then we try to do something about them. And often that doing something about them is either pushing them away, like denying them, or trying to figure out why we're feeling them, or like acting on them. And when we talk about anger, I think sometimes people feel afraid of being angry because they might act on that anger, right? And be explosive or damaging some way. And so if instead of like trying to do something about the feeling, we actually invite ourselves to feel it. And where you feel it is in your body, not in your brain, not in what you know about it, but in sensation. And again, like I'm just drawn like, oh, when I think about that, oh, it's in sensation. Well, what sensation? Can I drop in and sit again a little deeper, take a breath,
Mm.
and notice what's happening? Yeah. So I just have a question for you and for everybody. Like, can you feel like what difference does that make for you?
You want me to try it right now?
Sure.
Okay, so for me, I am very happy right now. And when I feel my body, feel my whole body happy. All
Mm-hmm.
the cells are happy. And it also starts feeling very stable and calm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the minute I connect with my body, I start feeling very grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so calming.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you bring happiness in, right? Because sometimes I think we think, oh, we have to deal with all the problematic feelings, right?
Ah,
Really like any time that we feel and happiness, when you feel joy, when you look at your child and you're like, or for me, I don't have children actually, but I have dogs and I
mm.
look at them and I just think like, how did they get so much cuter today than they were yesterday? And I know many mothers are like that too. Like you see your child, right, and your eyes light up, and you're like, I that's my baby, right?
Yeah.
So, and so those moments too, like to feel your body. That's a great practice ground for
Mm.
when you do have those more challenging emotions or feelings that you want to work through and that you want to be able to not have control you or not lose control around.
That's a big one
Mm-hmm.
because so many of my clients actually come to me saying, I don't want to be reactive. I don't want to have knee jerk reactions. How can I be more stable in the chaos?
Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder, Leslie, when we do get angry, and I talk about anger because I have experienced it so closely. When
Mm-hmm.
we do get angry, that's the time I don't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ideas of taking those deep breaths and counting till 10, all these suggestions. But when I'm angry, really, I don't remember anything. So I wonder, like, what would you say for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I often think about, when you want to be in shape, right? When you want to be physically in shape, what do? You work your muscles,
Yeah.
right? You work your muscles so that you're strong and then you could do the physical things that you want to do. So with our emotional bodies, it's the same. We have to practice
Mm.
and like build up those muscles ahead of time. It's beautiful to have all these tools like take a deep breath, count to 10. There are other great ones like I always try to remember that other people are really doing their best. Even
Mm.
when they mess up, they're
Mm.
doing their best in the moment. None of us mess up on purpose. None of us are um, like even a person who tends to be very angry and reactive, they're not doing that like volitionally because they were born wanting to be nasty,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
No, they're doing it because of all their conditioning and everything that's happened through life and habit and all of that. So, given that we're all doing our best in the moment. So this is one other skill that we can use. But again, they all come kind of from that mind level. And so what you were saying, like even with happiness, right? When you went to your body, you felt more grounded,
Hmm.
right? The interesting thing to me is that even with very challenging emotions like anger, and I also work with a lot of women who have anxiety. So,
Hmm.
anxiety is another one. People say, like, oh, when I get anxious, I can't think of like all the things to do. And, if I'm feeling like really anxious or really worried about something, I don't remember to take a deep breath, or it doesn't really help. Like I can take a deep breath, but then as soon as I, go to the next thing, I'm anxious again. So those two feelings have some similarities in that way. But if you really just go to your body, what am I feeling? And I use my hands a lot because, your hands,
Hmm.
there's many things about your hands. First is how we do our work in the world, is how we nurture and we care for others. So your
Hmm.
hands are beautiful to put on your own body as a
Hmm.
nurturing reminder that you matter, that where you are is okay, who you are is okay in this moment, no matter what feeling it is that you have. The hands are also, I think of them as the agents of the heart. Like they carry the energy of your heart. And so I really think Anime had that sometimes that sense of anger, it's like it builds up, right? So
Yeah.
because we could feel resentful. Like you
Hmm.
do so much and does anybody even care? Does anybody even notice? Like, and why didn't they do that again? Because
Right.
I already told them they were supposed to,
Yeah.
right? And so we um we have to like practice bringing care back to ourselves so that we can stay more grounded and centered even when all that other stuff is happening. So it's another tool, but it doesn't come from the mind. It's like as soon as you, and just try this, whether you're listening or you could try it too, like just put your hands on your heart. And it's like, oh, there's something calming about that. With a
Hmm.
baby, what do we do if a baby is like really upset and angry, right? We swaddle them,
Yeah.
right? We give touch pressure. That is physiologically, so you're being a scientist too. You're doing you're doing, scientifically proven method on yourself when you just put your hands on your body and relax your shoulders and sit a little deeper in your chair, sitting back in your chair, snuggling back into it a little bit so you feel like there's something at your back supporting you and holding you. These
Hmm.
are all kind of body centered practices that you can do that shift not what you're thinking about how you're feeling, but actually how you're feeling.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Instead of thinking, you're actually feeling it when you keep your hand here.
Yeah.
Mm. Wow. So I love that. You know what I'm hearing is that whenever we have intense emotions, whether they are happy, sad, angry, any of the emotions, we if we can train ourselves to keep our hand on our body just this much, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, practice the muscle. If we can just do this much, immediately it will give us some relief
Yeah.
already, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the more you do that, and the more you have that experience of that momentary relief, the more you build that up. So at some point, maybe you don't have to put your hand on your heart,
Ah.
but it's a very easy thing to do. And Sometimes people worry like, oh, am I going to look weird or look strange or whatever if I'm with another person? Well, doing this, right? That's not. But you can also. I mean, I don't love like with anger to cross the arms because that can sometimes be that like sort of feeling. But you can gently cross your arms. I'll put my camera down so it's like lower.
Hmm.
It's like something just to help give you that
Ah.
physiologic relaxation. Like, what can I do? If you're standing, you could put your hands on your thighs. Don't do the hips because that's more like kind
Again,
of
again, that ankle.
exasperation.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
drop your hands on the fronts of your thighs. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel
right.
your butt in your chair. Like these are all like touch sensations that you can go to that remind you that you're okay, first of all, because as soon as you do that, again, your nervous system starts to come out of that fight or flight place because that's when we're reactive, right? When we overreact or we respond with a reactivity, that's because the nervous system is in the stress response. This is physiologic. So this is another mind technique you can use for yourself is you remind yourself like, oh, that's just how the human body works. That's how the human body works. When we feel stressed, the nervous system goes into that fight or flight as a um, protective mechanism.
Hmm.
But what I can do is I can cultivate skills that help me go into the part of my nervous system that is more is relaxation, the parasympathetic nervous system, into the rest response.
Hmm.
Again, I'm not going to be able to do that if I wait until I'm hyper stressed.
Yeah.
Have to practice
Hmm.
outside of that. And we practice by doing all the things that nurture us, that feel good, that we like, and whatever it is that we need so that our hearts feel really filled up.
Hmm.
We feel supported. Because if you don't feel supported, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of support from other people. You're your first and very most important support system.
Hmm.
Yes, we need friends, we need other people. It's wonderful to have a partner, therapists, doctors, yoga
Yeah.
teachers,
Yoga
coaches,
teachers.
all of
So
that,
true.
right? Like we want those people around us, but
Yeah.
ultimately, like you're your very best friend.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so when you can, come to her with your worries and hold space for yourself, it makes a huge difference.
I love that. You are your very best friend.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. We don't always act like that though, right? We can be
Yeah.
our own enemies too, as they,
Enemies. Yeah, I think more often than not, people have a very strong inner critic.
yeah.
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 And mothers have such a high standard for themselves, you know,
Yeah.
so it's hard for them to be kind to themselves more than anything. And what this action tells me is reminding ourselves that yes, we are human
Hmm.
and we are loved no matter what. And we can love ourselves. We are not waiting for other people to come and give us love. It can start with us, right? I think this is a great point to really kind of now wind down the interview because I would like to keep these bites short and for very busy, busy moms. So
Yeah.
I think this itself is gold over here. Your body is the place to go. You
Hmm.
just writing this, like I can imagine writing it on post-its around me as well. Remind
Yeah.
myself every day to take that time. to give myself that love and ground myself, right? So,
And that's a great practice. That's a beautiful practice because it's not something that has to take a long time, right?
mm,
It can be just a moment, an instant when you suddenly remember, oh yeah, the body, take a breath, sit down, feel my feet. And if you're doing that periodically throughout the day, then it becomes a skill that's easy to go back to when you need it.
ah, wow. Yeah, and we can always tie it to some regular event in the day, right? Maybe just before we eat, or maybe when you go to the restroom. Like it can be tied up to something else, so we remember to connect with our body,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Or like you said, the little sticky notes. If you put one on the bathroom mirror and you put one on the refrigerator and you
Ah,
put one on your car dashboard, then wherever you go, it's like, oh yeah, I remember just for this breath, like I can do that.
mm, wow. So maybe before we end, if you can just give a demo of, suppose you're going to your car and you read the post-it, Leslie. So
Mhm.
how would you do it? You will stand, you will breathe, and you will just imagine what would you like do next?
If I were getting in the car, so if I were getting in the car, I'd be sitting down, right? I'd get in the car, I'd see that post it. And what I would do is just lean back in the seat, put my hand on my heart, and say, how am I feeling?
Hmm.
And then see what comes up, maybe take a breath, and then go on. Because I think often what happens is we just get kind of pulled along by the day, right? You get in your car, you start it, you put it in
Yeah.
gear,
Hmm.
and you go. And
Hmm.
so just that little moment of checking in with yourself, and it doesn't matter what the answer is when you say, like, oh, how am I feeling? Or a question I use actually that sometimes is a little bit more juicy, I think, is what's on my heart right now?
Ah.
So it's just like, okay, what's on my heart right now? Oh, okay, I got to get to the school and get in that pickup line,
Hmm.
right? And and it's hot out, whatever it is, like, okay, I'm thinking about these kinds of things. Well, take a breath and go from there. So it's you go into whatever it is you're doing from that more grounded space instead of the space of rushing to the next thing.
Wow. I love this so much. It is easy, practical, doable for the busiest person in the world also.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I also notice that when we do slow down, we don't really waste time. We become more efficient.
Yeah,
Many
yeah,
times we can do much more.
yeah.
So,
And I always like to, I also like to just help us to dismantle that idea that getting more done makes us better or
mm,
more worthy
yeah,
or more important, because getting more done is meaningless if you just are going through the paces or you feel crappy all the time while you're doing it, right? So
yeah,
it's not just about getting more done. It's about living your life in a way that is the way that you want to feel. It's like doing the things that you do with a light in your eyes, not feeling exhausted and like there's just another thing to check off on your to do list.
ah,
About getting those things done that are meaningful and that bring purpose into your life.
wow. Yeah, that's maybe for another interview because
Yeah.
that topic can also go on long, you know.
Yeah.
I also strongly agree with you about that.
Yeah.
So this has been so good. And I was wondering, Leslie, if anyone listening to this interview wants to explore working with you, I wanted to ask you one, who are the kind of people you help? Like, what are they seeing in their life for them to know that Leslie can help them?
Mhm.
You can tell
Yeah.
me thought very quickly.
Yeah, I think I do work mostly with women, some men as well. I think that the thread that we might say is that they just really want to feel more purposeful, meaningful, and relaxed in their lives, like about what it is that they're doing, to feel more comfortable being in their own skin, being authentic. That there's those questions of the heart that are kind of coming up of like, what is it that I'm here to do? What do I want in my life? And then we can go from there. Yeah, yeah. And I do invite people to contact me, and we can schedule a complimentary discovery call just to chat about what it is that's going on, what it is that you want. That's something that I feel is really important, that we go from desire, like what is it that you want,
Hmm.
instead of like, oh, I'm having this problem. Now it might start out, I'm having this problem, but then we figure out like, what is it that you want, because that gives us actually the motivation for making the changes that we need to make.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I have enjoyed this interview so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. And to all the listeners and viewers, we will be putting all the URLs in the description of this video. So that way you can connect with Leslie. And thank you everyone for listening and watching, and hope you all have a great, wonderful, relaxed day where you can connect with your body and use your body's wisdom to calm down.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, namaste, Leslie.
Thank you. Very many blessings to all of you.